Warning. Aspects of Dead on Dave are over the top and meant strictly for entertainment purposes only. Don't take it too seriously and have some fun.
But ain't nobody stopping me. That's how I go when you pay for them shows and you study that pimp.
All right, Mush Puffs, let's get copious. It's Sunday, October 14, 2018, and we're going to go back to our roots today. We're going to get back into some stuff that you guys always like when I talk about, but it's not just wrestling. It's not just a topic on that. I feel what we're going to talk about today kind of supersedes just a regular wrestling conversation because it gets into geopolitical type stuff. Not exactly my forte, but I know money. I mean, I don't have any money, but I know money. I understand how this actually works. I mean, look, from the dawn of time, the golden rule is very simple. Who has the gold makes the rules. So we're going to get into all the situation with Saudi Arabia, WWE, Congress, Linda McMahon, Trump, whether or not WWE should pursue with this line of action, and a whole lot more. We're going to get into it. And then when we're done with that, it's all you guys. You want to call in, talk about this. I'm going to be taking any and all callers, and we're going to be lighting it up as long as you guys can possibly do it. We got hat changes. I got some brand new wigs for you. We got some booze. I'm doing vodka shots tonight. If you guys want to get on that, look down below in the description box. You can see how you can interact with the channel and possibly derail me before we even get started. Big shout out to the chat. I see Garth Osteen up in there. I also see Real Talk, the Metaphor Messiah. What's going on? Real Talk, by the way, is pumping out the hits right now. He is living in the studio, cranking out music at an unprecedented rate. And let me tell you, everything that he's putting out right now, it's kind of fire. It's kind of fire. So you guys got to go check that out. Makad is here. Fake ass twat. The bear, the beariest bear of all the bears. Except some of the people that Tobes knows down in the underground, of course. Mark Parrish is here. So is Hawny. What's going on, buddy? Ailesgriff in the house as well. Eric the Champ. And I saw Tonka there as well. All right, first let's get into the meat and potatoes of the exact situation, okay? We can get into how am I doing, but it doesn't really matter because we're here to talk about the WWE, at least at the beginning. So basically, WWE entered into a 10-year contract with Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to bring them shows, and basically they have been purchased in ways. In a way, it's an exclusive carnival that has been brought to Saudi Arabia to conduct shows for the entertainment, really for the royalty. Whether or not the fan base likes it is kind of secondary because the Crown Prince is a huge WWE fan and he has his favorites. Now, we've already seen a lot of influence because of the money, which is reportedly around $500 million, 500 million ducats, son. It's a lot of money. And they've allowed them to set terms, and they try to get the people that they want to see. They try to get all the big draws. They almost brought Hulk Hogan back last time because the Crown Prince is a very big fan of Hulk Hogan. They've been able to coax Shawn Michaels out of retirement, probably using some of that money. Now, WWE has already taken a lot of scrutiny because when they went to Saudi Arabia, a place where women do not have equal rights, although there is progression under the Crown Prince's rule, that they are moving in the right direction in certain places. Now in Saudi Arabia, women can drive and all these type of things. But the women, especially in the WWE over the last couple of years, have been at the height, been at the forefront of a movement. The women's revolution, which has turned into the women's evolution. But all that stopped at the door of Saudi Arabia, where these women were not allowed to perform. And it doesn't even stop at just that. Sami Zayn was kept off the show because of his Syrian roots. So the WWE is already taking fire because of the fact that they have, in some people's words, compromised their own morals for money. And you can't really deny that they have. It's very fair to say that. Now, on the flip side, and being fair with it, Triple H has been at the forefront of the combat line. And he has been doing some really good damage control up to this point. Because the situation we're going to talk about gets a little bit crazier. But Triple H has talked about, you know, if you don't go into the region, you can't affect change. And WWE firmly believes, and I do believe this, by the way, with all the emphasis they put on the women's division, I believe they believe that with time, with pressure, with influence, they can help positive change for women in Saudi Arabia. And not just women, but everybody. I believe they believe that. And I believe they believe that at some point, they'll be able to get the women on the card and be able to show Saudi Arabia what they are capable of. And that's great. That's fantastic if that all comes to fruition. So WWE was already taking fire on whether or not they should go to Saudi Arabia in the first place. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated because of what's happened in the last couple of weeks. Now, I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty details onto all of it, but here's the gist of it. A reporter who is American-born has gone missing in Saudi Arabia. Gone missing, and there are reports from the Turkish government and other intelligence agencies that Saudi Arabian government officials have orchestrated what they're calling a hijacking gone wrong, basically. There was rumors that this journalist was kidnapped, and then basically they're assuming this guy has been dead, murdered. And not only that, apparently there are consulate recordings that confirm that this journalist was not only murdered but tortured in the consulate by Saudi Arabian officials. Now, none of that's been released, none of that's been proven, but it has started a firestorm in Washington. Donald Trump has spoken about it, but has stopped short of full-on condemning it up until this point. And he has talked about it quite a bit, about this is not acceptable and sanctions could be coming down the line. And of course, WWE and Vince McMahon, who is just sitting in Scrooge McDuck's fucking vault right now, you know, just bathing in all the Arabian money, they're in a compromised spot, and not just for the reason why you think. Of course, they're going to be freaking out about this because you don't want to be associated with a country that is abducting and murdering journalists. That's not good for PR, and it doesn't matter how the fuck you try to spin it. Ain't going to matter. You're not going to be able to spin this properly, and you're a publicly traded company. Now, if that was the only issue, it was only PR, that would be bad enough. But it actually gets worse because Linda McMahon, former CEO, I don't believe she is the CEO or one on the chair. You know, she's been part. You know what I mean? She's been head high up in the WWE management for a long time. I don't think she is anymore. But what she is part of President Trump's cabinet, the small business person of the Trump cabinet, which makes this even more convoluted and a little bit more tricky from a political spectrum. So now WWE is receiving pressure from Congress. Many congressmen on both sides of the aisle are speaking out and saying WWE really needs to re-examine their practices and not allow this event to go forth. And it's starting to get a lot of people talking. And WWE has stayed very tight-lipped about the entire situation. In fact, only releasing one statement, and that statement is that they are monitoring the situation, and that's it. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing at this moment. You know, which is unfortunate. You know, it seems like there should be more to it than that. Like, we should be definitely getting more from WWE, or at least that's the common thought process, right? We should be thinking in those terms. By the way, get those likes up, guys. Only 6 likes. Let's get some more in there. Show a little bit of love to the channel, as well as get yourselves some tweeting going on. Let everybody know that we are live. You would think that the WWE would want to get out in front of it a little bit more, but I'm not going to beat them up over not saying too many things publicly, and here's why. You don't want to jump the gun. Now, some people are going to say, Dave, you're out of your fucking mind right now. Of course they should jump the gun. This is morality that we're talking about. No, we're also talking about money. We're talking about a shitload of money. And we're talking about something that the WWE probably does believe in. I do believe that they do want to make some change there in Saudi Arabia. I think there is some altruism involved. Mostly money, but a little bit of altruism. Just a little bit, tiny bit. Enough to make note, I would say. Because there is some positive things that the WWE does with their ability to be able to go ahead and put on shows all over the world. The issue is that this isn't something minor. This isn't a point of contention. This is murder. This is kidnapping. And it seems, if you're going to believe some agencies, that there is enough evidence to be able to really corroborate what is happening. So when the WWE doesn't release anything, and all behind the scenes information has led to basically the WWE are stating behind closed doors that this whole shebang is still going forward, it gives people pause. They don't want to hear that. And that's why the WWE has stayed tight-lipped. Now, it actually took another turn today, which is why I'm talking about it. Now, earlier on in the day, WWE removed Crown Jewel from the upcoming events section on their website. It was full-on removed, which prompted a lot of people to jump the gun and say WWE is canceling the event. Now, WWE has since re-put Crown Jewel back into the scheduled events and back on the calendar. And now they've also apparently said somewhere that as of now, the event is still planned to go forth. Dave Meltzer has stated a lot more than that. Dave Meltzer is saying that, as far as he knows with his sources in the back, that WWE is indeed planning on still going forward. But Dave Meltzer, being Dave Meltzer, does the Dave Meltzeriest thing that you could possibly do and plays the other side just in case that he could be wrong. And what he says is, but they're also planning on a plan B just in case things fall through. So those are basically the facts of the situation. That's the ins and outs of everything that's happening. And a lot of people are weighing in. Here's my opinion on the entire situation. WWE is kind of fucked. If they go forward with the event, they're in a lot of trouble. Even if there's nothing concrete and definitive about this situation that they murdered a journalist, they kidnapped and murdered and tortured a journalist, even if it's not 100% proven, and it probably won't be, by the way, any information that's released is probably going to be very, very ambiguous at best. Usually these type of things are. There will be some ambiguity to it, and you're not going to be able to know for 100% sure. Now, for their part, the Saudi government has flat out denied these allegations and said they are 100% false. Not happening. Did not happen. It's ridiculous. Of course, they offer no... We know that the reporter went to Saudi Arabia and never returned. That's what we know. They offer no update on that. They can't offer anything about the whereabouts of the reporter. They're just like, I don't know what to tell you. This ain't happening. I don't know what to tell you. But this all puts more pressure on WWE. And if they go forward, the stock is what's going to be hurt. And this is where the entire situation, for me, takes a different turn. Because, yes, we're talking about a shitload of money from the Saudi Arabian government. $500 million, $500 million, and it's probably substantially more than that, considering they're also monetizing the events, and they're getting every big wrestler they possibly can. The rumors of all the people that are trying to get on board for these Saudi Arabian shows, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. They've apparently reached out to The Rock, who obviously will not touch the Stone Cold might, or he might have up until this point. Hulk Hogan, of course, they have coaxed the Shawn Michaels HB Shizzle out of retirement for a fight at Crown Jewel. Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, all of these legends, all of these people, all this incredible talent that they're sending over. They're putting resources into it. If they are doing that, there is financial gain beyond that $500 million. But even so, there's something that can certainly trump that amount of money, and that is their stock. We're talking about a publicly traded company, and that's where things take a turn. If they go forward, I have no doubts in my mind, that stock is going to plummet. It's trading at almost $100 a share. it will plummet. It could go down. Some analysts are saying anywhere between 30 and 40% if they do the show. Now, it probably wouldn't happen until after the show took place, but there's no question that to me, this will hurt the company from a long-term financial standpoint. That type of a drop could be in the billions potentially. Billions with a B down the line. They could be losing out on so much revenue that they may not even be able to recover from it. So I have to think that part of the reason why WWE has been so tight-lipped is because they are thinking about canceling the show, or at least postponing it. I mean, you can't do it in November. At this point, it's like November 3rd. You can't put this show on in less than a month in this political ground, this political spectrum. There's no way that you can do that and expect no reprisal. I don't see how they think that they can get away with it at this point, because it just wouldn't work. It's not going to fly under the radar. This is becoming a firestorm, and it gets more complicated because of all the ties that they have, because Lynn McMahon is in Trump's cabinet, because they have a sitting governor in Kane, Glenn Jacobs, who is the governor of Knox County in Tennessee. They have a Olympic gold medalist, now granted, who has disgraced himself in the past quite a bit, Kurt Angle, going over there as well. There is way too much embarrassment, potentially, for the WWE to pursue it in the way that they are. Again, which is why I think they've been so tight-lipped. They kind of have to be tight-lipped on this, at least for the time being. But I do think, and they're probably waiting for the right time. If I had to guess, they are talking to the Saudis, and they are trying to figure out a way to mitigate this. And maybe the Saudi Arabian government simply doesn't want to hear it. You know, this is a prideful country, and just the WWE saying that they want to back out of an arrangement, essentially, and say, let's back this up a little bit. Compromise is not something the Middle East is known for historically. It's not exactly something that let's talk about things rationally. Not something that we always see in the Middle East. Now, even with a country that is getting a little bit more progressive, or at least forward thinking, in Saudi Arabia, I don't think that they would take that any other way than a slight to their pride. They would definitely have a problem with this, because a business arrangement is a business arrangement. And if they're telling Vince McMahon and then Triple H and the rest of the board that they had nothing to do with it, well, that should be enough. You took our money. You should take our word. And that, you know what? That's a sound fucking argument if you're on the Saudi Arabian side. You know, that is kind of valid. You took our money. You're going to have to take our word here. But WWE has every right to protect their public interest. So I'm wondering how this is exactly going to play out, because I'm not exactly sure. I'm really not. I think WWE is probably going to cancel the event. It's the safest play. It's the smartest play. It's the best way to make sure that they can maintain what they have grown over the last year. Between business deals with Fox and USA, they've been able to generate $1 billion in advertising revenue over the next decade. That is not a small amount of money, considering even more that going to network television with SmackDown could potentially generate even more. To get your numbers on a broadcast television network back up to where you want to be, because the numbers are dying on cable. Dying. Just absolutely plummeting. Going down into the ocean, down into the sea. The numbers that WWE are drawing are historic lows right now. But because of the way media is consumed, it's really not looked at to be that bad. The way that people watch television now is completely different. People aren't using traditional means. They're not watching cable. There is a lot of untrackable methods of which people are watching that doesn't get put into the Nielsen numbers. So a lot of people don't put stock into the numbers. And the fact that most of the time WWE is still in the top 5 to 7 nightly in the demographics on which they show their programs, there's not a lot of panic going on in television ratings because everybody's suffering. But this could be something that has a whole lot of other ramifications to it. Now, granted, Carl and other people are stating in the chat that WWE is still forwarding storylines for this event, like the World Cup qualifying matches that will happen on Raw. That's okay. They can do that. They can still forward the DX versus Brothers of Destruction storyline because it's not that big of a deal if they do, because it's so simple to pivot all of these to Survivor Series, especially something like the World Cup, very easily suited for Survivor Series. Survivor Series is also a perfect playground for Shawn Michaels and Triple H to rejoin as DX and take on the Brothers of Destruction. It actually makes more sense than having the Saudi Arabia show, if you think about it, because Survivor Series is something that the WWE has been trying to breathe more life into for years, and it has not worked. Nobody cares about Survivor Series anymore, but if they load up that card with these storylines, there's a very good chance that they can revitalize that pay-per-view and make it one of the true big four again, which would be something that I think wrestling fans would enjoy, especially purists. I love Survivor Series. It was one of my favorite events for many, many years, and it's lost all of its luster. So it's not like the WWE can't find ways around this situation. You know, not having to go back to Saudi Arabia logistically would save them a lot of money and at least pushing it down the line. I see them postponing the event. They're not going to cancel it, but postponement is certainly on the table. Some people suggested move the show entirely to somewhere like England because Crown Jewel would still work. That ain't happening. That would be a slight to Saudi Arabia. If you don't cancel the show and you don't keep the Crown Jewel moniker and move it somewhere else, postponement might be the best thing that they can do, and hopefully something that the Saudis would accept. Hopefully the Crown Prince is as reasonable as some have painted him out to be, but you never know with these type of monarchies. You just don't. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see where this goes down the line, and it's going to be something that we, like the WWE, will certainly be monitoring going forward. And that's basically my thoughts on it. You know, without getting too repetitive and everything, there's really not much more to say. The WWE has put themselves in a very, very difficult situation, and because they are the WWE, they are this corporation that has made so much money historically, not only over the last year, one of their best years profit-wise ever, by the way, they're going to be looked at as just greedy, disgusting American corporation. And that's it. That's all they're going to be looked at, and they're not going to get a lot of benefit of the doubt. And honestly, I don't know if they should be getting a lot of benefit of the doubt. The only benefit of the doubt that I'm willing to give them at this point is that I'm okay with the fact that they've been fairly tight-lipped about the situation. I think that's smart. You do your due diligence. You let it play out, because this isn't just about you. This is about, you know, public perception. This is about damage control. This is about, you know, Linda McMahon and her relationship with Donald Trump. This is about Vince's relationship with Donald Trump. This is about Senate pressure, political pressure coming down on WWE to try and get them to back out of a business arrangement with another nation. This is complex, unlike anything that we've ever seen. The complexities of this situation are on a level that I don't know if wrestling has delved into too many times. There has been some things on smaller levels, especially with independent promotions that go all over the world and such. We do have instances, but nothing quite like this. This is unique. This is not, again, not a privately traded company or private company, privately owned. This is a publicly traded company with an image that goes well beyond the next 10 years of Saudi Arabia. And if this situation does not get handled in the proper way, this could be the end of a lot of things for the WWE. A lot of the good work that they're able to do will be besmirched. If they're aligning with a government that can be proved to be linked to kidnapping, torturing, and murdering an American fucking citizen, oh, holy shit, it's over. It's done. What else can you say? There's no defense to that. There's no coming back. You've taken the poison pill. So that's why I've got to think that there's more going on to it. So I think it's kind of irresponsible for Dave Meltzer to continue on the type of reporting that he's doing, especially because he's just saying two things at the same time. He's telling you that he knows that the WWE is internally still planning on going forward with the show. But at the same time, he's telling you, but they're planning just in case. He's telling you nothing. He's telling, like always, Meltzer is telling you dick. He's literally giving you no information. Everything that he's saying could completely be fabricated, and it's completely okay because he's not saying anything anyway. He's played both sides of the aisle, and he has gone and fucking put it in this scope that you guys can do nothing with because it's all his sources. It's bad reporting, it's bad journalism, and that, I would say, personally, is just as greedy as what WWE is doing. It's clickbait of the highest order. It's something that he knows he could talk about and get people talking very easily and not having to do any type of research or take any type of responsibility with it. It's repugnant. It's one of the reasons why I have never been a Dave Meltzer fan. I'm with you, Tonka. Tonka, you're 100% right. Meltzer drives me fucking crazy. And he has for a long time. He covers his ass on every word. I agree. He does. It was a caps-worthy statement. I'll allow the caps, 100%. All right. I want to get to callers. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this topic and anything else. It's open lines today. Anything you want to talk about, I'm going to take your calls, your questions, your hopes, your dreams, your quips, your quotes, your likes, your loves, and whatever else that you might have that you want to talk to me about, we're going to take them now. We also got hat changes, wig changes, and vodka shots out of the cutest fucking shot glass in the history of shot glasses. Look at this little adorable thing. $10 to the channel, and I'll go ahead and take a shot for you out of the little tiny red Solo cup. And hopefully you guys will go ahead and get your asses into my Discord. There it is right there. And come talk to me, like Randy Orton used to have in his little song. Anthony Castile, Dave, I think you're an idiot, but you're right on this. Thank you, Anthony Castile. I think that you probably have sex with cows, but I appreciate that you think I'm right on this. Congratulations. Wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and get in some callers. We'll start with the beariest of bears. All right, I'm going to start with Bear. Tonka, I'm going to get you in after Bear, but I want to get Bear in first. Because more than likely, Tonka and I are going to talk for a while on this. Bear, you're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got?
Hey, David. So, I want to go into something I don't think anybody has thought about. How would Saudi Arabia react if WWE just like, hey, no, we're just not going to do this? Like,
I just covered that.
I know, but that could possibly be putting them in danger. That could piss them off at the country, at our country. That could cause a lot of shit because they took this massive amount of money and then they say, hey, we don't want any part of this.
Well, yeah, I mean, but look, the tensions are always going to be high with the Middle East anyway, so that's not a big concern. It's more about the WWE. You know, the WWE has more to worry about. They're stuck in a really bad spot.
I mean,
the deal
was a bad look.
Well, sure, but at least that was somewhat defensible. Because I like what Triple H. What are you talking about? Triple H is 100% right with what he said.
Triple H was good.
Triple H. That statement that he said covered all of those grounds that anybody could have possibly had. Because it's a perfect statement. You can't facilitate change anywhere if you refuse to go into the region, and it's 100% correct. It's okay to try to do that. Now, granted, you're profiting off it as well, so your motivations are always going to be questioned. But I don't see anything wrong with what he said there. I think it's a very perfect way of putting it into a perspective that I think most people, when they think rationally, can understand and accept. The woman thing is a little bit different. You know, it's hard for either you're going to be okay with it or you're not, especially with the Evolution pay-per-view and all of that. It's difficult, but this changes things, and I'm more worried about the slight that Saudi Arabia might take personally from WWE. Yeah. I don't think they could say too much to the American government. WWE backed out on a deal. We're going to bomb you. I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, you never know. It's a Middle Eastern company. It's a Middle Eastern country.
You have a good point there.
You never know. You know, what are they going to do? A lot.
Yeah.
But, like, I get Triple H did a lot. He's usually good at doing damage control situations. He's a great talker. He's good at saying the right things.
Right.
But I can't think of anything that he could possibly say that could make doing this show now feel okay.
Which is why they're not saying anything. Which is exactly why they're not saying anything yet.
I can see them sitting in a room with a whiteboard just trying to think of things to say. Like, what do we say about this?
Now, I don't know what happened earlier. I don't know why the event got removed from the calendar. I don't know what that meant. I don't know if that was just a slip-up. I'm assuming, if I had to guess, in a board meeting, in some sort of creative meeting, somewhere everybody was talking, and I can probably come to the rational conclusion that they have talked about canceling it. Somebody got the wrong message and removed it, probably got confused, and thus put it back up afterwards.
Maybe.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah, someone misheard something and removed it, and then something like that.
More than likely.
Yeah,
More than likely.
But,
it seems to be the most logical thing.
I already don't like them doing the deal with Saudi Arabia, and this, I don't know. I don't know what else they can do. They can't, I don't think they can, could they just give them the money yet? Give them the money back?
Probably not. Probably not. I don't see them going, here's your money back. Because more likely that money's already done spent.
Well, yeah, true. Well, they wouldn't have to give all of it back because they did do the Greatest Royal Rumble.
They did one show. That would get tricky and sketchy in a whole nother way.
They opened the Performance Center there too. What would they do with that, with this whole situation? Oh my God.
No, they really have put a lot into the region. They put resources there. They've made a big deal about hiring people from the country. I mean, it's a thing. It's a big thing.
Except for women. They can't hire women.
Yes, they can't. Yes, they can't hire women yet. But who knows? Maybe someday this is all going to lead to some good. I do believe within the next 5 years, if this didn't happen, women would perform in Saudi Arabia. They would look. They've done it in other places in the Middle East. They've found ways around it.
Yeah.
Now, typically, like Sasha Banks has worn full body suits. They could do that.
Yeah, there have been shows in India. I think it was TNA did a show a few years ago.
WWE did last year, right before the Saudi Arabia show. They did it in the Middle East. They just had.
It was in India, wasn't it?
No. It was in God, it wasn't India. India is not that big of a deal. It's another place. It was a Muslim country. I just can't remember the fucking.
I don't remember.
It might have. You know what? It might have been Kuwait. It might have been in Kuwait. It might have been in Kuwait, and I think they wore. Yeah, it was. It was in. It was in Qatar, as a matter of fact, and they were in full body gear. Like Sasha Banks wore this skin tight body gear. So it's.
And it goes beyond the women too. They got to get past the whole thing with the reason Sami Zayn wasn't allowed to perform.
Well, that's the easiest thing in the look. They pulled him for his own safety.
No, I know.
You throw a Syrian out there.
I know, but they gotta. Yeah, that part scares me more than. Yeah.
Well, hell, it's funny. It's funny, right? Because they pulled Sami Zayn, but they did a really, really, in some circles, offensive Iranian segment, and
yes,
Paul Heyman was there. He's Jewish.
Yeah.
Maybe
they didn't know. I mean, they're Middle Eastern. They probably don't pay that.
Anybody who looks at Paul Heyman knows he's fucking Jewish. All right.
They probably thought it was just a walrus.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It really is. It's insane.
It's just I don't know if they can move it at this point because of the Saudi government might not let them.
Well, WWE could tell them to go fuck it.
That would bring a lot of shit.
The Saudi Arabian government, if they're like, no, you must do this or else, WWE's gonna be like, or else what? You gonna bomb us?
I think WWE telling them to just fuck off is more dangerous than.
Well, yes, but I mean, if push comes to shove and WWE is getting immense pressure, and let's say Trump does full on condemn Saudi Arabia for these actions, which could be coming anytime, by the way.
Oh, WWE would be screwed.
Right. What can they do? What can they do at that point? They can't go against the U.S. government.
They'd be a threat, like the whole company.
I don't know if it'd be traitorous. Let's not go too crazy.
Siding with a country that tortured and murdered an American citizen.
You're siding with them, but it is still a private business venture, which we do protect as a country. So I mean,
but at the same time, Trump's trying to put a stop to
absolutely, and this is where the entire thing does get. Oh yeah, it was in Dubai. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Thank you, Carl. That match was in Dubai. Excuse me. So yeah, my bad. Excuse me.
Dubai.
Yeah, my bad. Can't get everything right. When you know everything, sometimes you forget a lot. It just happens.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just I am the almighty Dead on Dave.
You are.
All right,
You
Bear
can't
Bear. Anything
know everything
else?
at all times.
I hate. All right, no, that's a no.
Okay,
That's
okay,
a no.
okay,
No,
wait,
that's a
wait,
no.
one more
No,
thing.
that's a no.
One more thing.
What?
One more thing.
What?
Okay. I'm sorry, but don't let me pick a defense that you like.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
Jesus, fucking Bears,
Wait.
man. Goddamn
We'll talk about
fucking
that
Bears.
later.
Get out of here. Goddamn Bears losing in overtime. Son, this is why I hate football. Every time I want to care about the Bears, they make me sad. All right, let's bring in the one, the only, the Blood God. Tonka is here. What's going on, buddy?
I'm getting educated on this. Today is the first morning I've really looked into any of this stuff. This is interesting.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, this is really interesting stuff.
It's convoluted as fuck.
And not helped by the crystal ball watcher, Mr. Dave Meltzer, who's just saying, yeah, they might cancel it, but they might not. You know?
Right.
It's a useless opinion. I don't know if they'll cancel it. That's the part that I haven't even got to that part of the thought process yet. I heard earlier in the year that the women's pay-per-view of Evolution was somewhat of a make good to the girls.
Yeah.
That's accepted?
It seems to be accepted rationale. Look, WWE can point to and call that bullshit because they can point to meetings in a year ago that clearly showed that they were going to be doing this eventually. We don't know if it would happen so quickly, but I mean, I don't think it's fair to say that on one level because of how much the WWE's put an emphasis on the women's evolution, the women's revolution. They were going this route anyway. They were going to get their own pay-per-view, but more than likely, it's easy to come to that assumption that this was, hey girls, sorry about this. Here's the makeup. You're getting your own show. Shut up.
Yeah. All right. One unfortunate aspect. I started looking at a lot of the girls' social media accounts to see what they were saying about it, and most of them, they weren't really mad about the Saudi Arabia thing. One, I have a feeling they're all kind of getting a little kickback for it.
They got paid. Yeah, they all got paid for it.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that they're satisfied because the women's revolution has its own thing going on. Granted, that shit took a long time to kick off. I would say they announced women's revolution years ago. That shit didn't happen until maybe like the end of last year.
I would say, yeah.
Somewhere around there is when people really started to kind of take it seriously. They got a main event at Hell in a Cell, stuff like that. Stuff like that starting to happen. That really kind of moved it forward into that direction.
Dropping the Divas moniker was a huge step, and even that wasn't all that long ago. That was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, getting rid of that was a good move. I'm glad they did that. There's more. God, there's so much to like this. Like you said with Linda McMahon. And
yeah, that's unfortunate, right?
Yeah, that makes it to where, I mean, you have to kind of. I hate to say toe the line would be the thing because again, we're dealing with governments here. Like this is the United States government. You want to be in good with your country and stuff. So, people may disagree with Trump. I get all that, but again, you don't necessarily want to go against the leader of your country and what he throws out there because you want to make a dollar off of this other country.
Can't do it.
At the same time, we have what's the name of it? I can't remember the name of the event, and that's really unfortunate. But there is a precedent for this. It happened back in like 1993.
Okay.
Eric Bischoff gets together with Antonio Inoki, and they put together a show for North Korea.
Yep. I remember this.
You remember that?
I do remember this. I remember the story. Go ahead. Continue.
Our government was not happy with this. All the wrestlers, they were fucking interrogated when they got back. They go over there. Some of the wrestlers, Scott Norton in particular, I don't know if many people remember him. It's unfortunate that he didn't get bigger in the States.
Flash Norton, yeah.
He was the shit. I love some Scott Norton.
Really underrated big man. What a fucking good moving big man, right?
Yeah, he was. I remember he took a punch from Goldberg once, just sailed over the top rope from it. He is really, really good. Most people in the States don't remember him as much as people in Japan.
Hey, for 5 copious points, name his tag team with Buff Bagwell.
Vicious and Delicious.
Yeah, man, I fucking love you, dude. Vicious and Delicious. Yes.
I am a wealth of knowledge that will never matter.
I loved Vicious and Delicious. Both of those, they were both great workers, man.
Oh, really good. Really good. Buff Bagwell gets a bad rap because WWE tells you that you're not supposed to like him.
And he did become a gigolo.
There was that. There was that. When they won't hire you at the E, you gotta go find us. Scott Norton, though, when he was over there in North Korea, he made a phone call to his wife, and while he's on this phone call, all he said is, "I fucking hate it here." His phone goes dead, and he's like, "What? Excuse me? Hey, are you there? Are you there, honey?" All of a sudden, his doors get knocked in, and hauled down to the, I don't know if it's an interrogation, he's thrown in the dungeon, or what the fuck it was.
It was the Dungeon of Doom. Kevin Sullivan was not happy.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan and King Curtis IK is down there yelling at him. But it's that there is a precedent for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Really, really, it's a thing that happened. A lot of the wrestlers who went over there, no women, of course, but you had guys like Scott Norton get hauled off by the government at one point, and then when he comes back, he gets hauled in by our government because he gotta keep stuff in line in that way.
It's sketchy. Now, granted, I don't think that we could put Saudi Arabia on the exact same footing as North Korea, but they're not all that far apart. But this situation that happens with the journalists takes it to that level. And I do think
happening right now.
It's happening right this second. An instant reaction. Now, I think if Trump would have already condemned Saudi Arabia over this, WWE would have had no choice. But because he has not condemned them yet, he has not issued any sanctions. He's called for the possibility of sanctions, but that's not the same thing. Do you have a problem with WWE not being more vocal about the situation, or do you think they're doing the right thing by keeping tight-lipped until more information comes out?
The situation about the journalist, or the situation about everything?
Everything. I mean, because the journalist is what is mitigating this entire situation.
Yeah. The journalist, that's what really put the spotlight on it. I'm not sure if I want to hear anybody with the name Levesque or Helmsley at the end say anything about that kind of stuff. Please don't. But as far as the situation goes, they had Triple H put out a statement. On point. You were talking about it earlier. The statement that Triple H put out, that's the best shit you can say.
Yeah.
It really, that's very diplomatic, very, very good stuff to put out there.
Yeah.
I have a horrible feeling that if they said anything else, they would fuck that up because they are who they are.
Right.
they hit a home run with that one.
And he could say that back then because that was about the women's stuff. That's a big issue. But it's not fucking murder, you know.
Yeah, now that it's hit, don't say anything anymore.
Right. So they gotta stay tight-lipped about this, and this is why I really fucking can't stand Dave Meltzer, because he's saying that he has sources that are telling him these things. That's, to me, disgusting. That's bad journalism at the fucking least.
No, think of it. Who would be the source for this? Who would be the source for that one? Dave?
Dunn? Was it Bucky?
Yeah. Who would it have been that gave it away to Dave fucking Meltzer? This kind of situation, something of this gravity.
Right.
They're tight-lipped on this guy about main event finishes.
Yeah.
Who the hell's gonna tell him about something like this? He did the same thing everybody else did. He saw the event come down and the event go up, and he's like, okay, they're kind of foggy on it. They don't know what they're going to do. So he can say something like, because he's Dave. Yeah. The bad Dave. I prefer you. You're the bad.
I'll take it.
It's like King of the Hill, you know, good Hank, bad Hank. We got good Dave and bad Dave.
I'll take good Dave as the moniker. I don't get that very often. I'll definitely fucking take good Dave any day of the week.
Meltzer's the worst. You said irresponsible earlier. I just go with just shit. He's just shit. What he does.
Yeah, he is.
But
he's a hack.
Yeah, he just throws out some random shit. He doesn't know what's going down with this stuff.
It's hard. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, the girls aren't really complaining, but he'll kind of make it like, well, there may be some ladies backstage that are complaining.
There's grumblings. Of course there's going to be grumblings, man. There's always going to be grumblings. Everybody grumbles in wrestling. It's what wrestlers do. You know, we're talking about an industry that historically is incredibly fucking dirty. It's a very me-first business. It's a very me-first industry.
It's the nepotism business.
Exactly. It's not what you know, it's who you fucking know and how you get over. Those are the only two things. Who do you know and how are you going to get yourself over? Okay, go out the fucking curtain.
Yeah. the idea is always, at the end of the day, it's always to make money.
Yes,
that's what you
goal.
got to keep that in. The idea is to sell out houses, make some money, keep people interested in your product.
Let's.
When they're doing.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, when you have that much money on the table, how can you tell a business to not consider it?
Right. Especially when we live in a country that supports the private practices of corporations. It's a very big part of our country, and that's every goddamn statement that we've seen from Congress that is saying we don't think the WWE should be going forward with what they're doing, but at the same time, this is a private corporation, and we can only hinder them so much, at least until sanctions are dropped. Once sanctions are dropped, now that changes things.
Yeah, that's the other spot where, all right, now you're talking about the rights of a private business and who they're allowed to do business with. And that's something that people are that's a very pro-America thing there. Who we, as Americans, are able to do business with, it's not really infringed on by the government. That's one of our many freedoms.
I think I just figured this out. I think I just figured out what's going on. Why the WWE has only come out with that one statement, we are monitoring the situation. I think I just figured it out. They're waiting for the sanctions. Linda's on the council. She's in Trump's cabinet. If anybody could possibly fucking know more about what Trump is going to do, imposing sanctions, whatever the case may be, it would be her. And she's telling them to keep quiet about this until those sanctions come out. Because if the government sanctions Saudi Arabia, that could potentially nullify this deal that the WWE has with the Saudi Arabian government, thus getting them out of this scot-free.
Yeah, that would be a pretty advantageous situation if they were prohibited by law.
Right.
By doing business with them, and they'd be like, it's out of our hands, bud.
Sorry, Prince. I mean, well, shit, the government put sanctions on you guys. It's not my fault you tortured a journalist.
Oh, by the way, we have a random Cuban appeared named Failure that says, I'm a terrible caller and you need to hang up on me. Give me a break, Failure. Give me a break. I'll get better. All right, I'll get better. I'll try to tie in something. This is another thing that I thought.
I'll drag you in here too, Failure. Come show Tonka how it's done.
All right, I'm about to talk about Cubans, so you might want to be careful. Okay.
Vegas in the chat. Be careful talking about Cubanos.
Here's another precedent being thrown out for something crazy happening. Now this is the worry that the other caller was expressing, and it was kind of left up. Well, I don't think a war would get started over this kind of. And I began to immediately wheel turn like a motherfucker in my head because I can tell you about something similar.
Okay.
Back in I don't know, the 50s, 40s, something like that. I can't remember exactly when. A young man came from Cuba. He wanted to be a pitcher, I believe, for the Dodgers. Threw one of the best fastballs you ever saw, but they ignored him, threw him off the team, said fuck that. He goes back to Cuba and he took over his fucking home country.
Yep. And
he embarked into the Cold War. Now, how much this had to do with not getting to play baseball, I don't know.
You know, you're not wrong. That story is well documented right now, very, very well about Castro. And, people go to those type of things. Like some people, when they go real extreme with dictators, they always go, maybe if people would have supported Hitler's art a little bit more growing up, he wouldn't have tried to kill everybody. But it's the same thing with Castro's one makes a little bit more sense because he did. He was over here. He was trying to make it as a major league pitcher, and he was unbelievably talented, but he couldn't.
He should have been picked.
Yeah.
To be fair, he should have been picked. He was good.
Yeah. Some people said he was Koufax. There are people who made – now, I've never seen any tape on him. I've never seen any of that, so I couldn't tell you. But that's where the comparison was Koufax, okay? That's not a light comparison.
Yeah, this guy was apparently a phenomenal fucking baseball player.
Yep.
A phenomenal fucking baseball player. Overlooked, and it may have got to him a bit. Yeah. So to say that this kind of shit wouldn't end up starting a war, wouldn't start some sort of conflict between countries, I wouldn't necessarily say no.
Yeah, you're right about that. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh on that, but at the same time, this is a little bit different because we're kind of already at odds with the Middle East in general. So this being the tipping point, now why that would be an amazing buzz phrase, it would be an incredible headline. it's not exactly factual. The reason why it would be happening is because these motherfuckers kidnapped, tortured, and murdered an American citizen. That would be the actual reason, but WWE pulling out of a business deal?
WWE says something about that. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, are you blaming the country for it? And now you're positioning yourself into a let's fight kind of thing there. Yeah. They've got to be so fucking careful because they're waiting, like you said, it does sound, they're waiting for the sanctions. They'll get word from Linda.
Right.
They'll get all of this stuff kind of in line. They'll know what to do, what to say, and where to put the money. Yeah. But I don't know if this would necessarily be something to start a conflict, but combine it with, all right, the U.S. puts sanctions on them. Yeah. Let's say Trump denounces them. The WWE pull the fancy carnival that they paid for the Saudi prince over there. Yeah. Like this is a lot of things all happening at once. A lot of things all happening at once from a bunch of American businessmen, and one of them happens to run the country. Yeah. So this could be a storm of things that kind of push things forward.
It's hazy. It's certainly freaking hazy, but I understand that Trump has been pretty cozy with the Saudis for a while. It's not like Trump has had any issues. Now, other presidents in past have, and with the region in general, there's always strife and there's always problems that are constantly going on. But this whole situation escalates things to a whole nother level. If the Turkish government, and I believe that's who's saying that they can prove what the Saudis did, if they can, and I'm starting to believe that they can, just because of how quiet the situation is overall. If that all comes out and they prove this and the sanctions come down, well, then WWE is the happiest entity in the world because they get to pull out without any ramifications from the Saudis at all, because you can't go against your own government for $500 million. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, straight up, for money is gonna look good. Let's be real also, this is the social media age.
Right, yes.
All right, things work different now. So WWE tries to explain, someone immediately comes back at him with, oh, what about the women's revolution? And that's what people run with. Yeah. Like, people will run loud and proud with that. And then this lumped on top of, oh, you're going to go against, you're going to actually go over there and perform for them in the middle of this this crisis with the murder and abduction of an American journalist. And this begins to pile up, and it begins to pile up. Right. And eventually WWE could be forced out of it without the sanctions.
Very true. Very, very true. Because before, when it was just about the women, you can write that off as virtue signaling. You really can. But this is different. This is loss of life. This is torture. This is kidnapping. And this is murder. A little bit different. Conflict. Yeah, it's a genuine fucking conflict. All right.
Lots of issues there. And then if your government then gets into a thing with them where we're going to put sanctions on them because they're killing journalists or they're abducting journalists, if they're not dead, that's it gets a little warmer. It gets a little harder to press that big red button there. Yeah. I think that's what makes it different from North Korea.
Oh, absolutely. And I do want to make it really clear, too, that just because sanctions come down does not necessarily mean that we're going to get into an actual all-out conflict with them. I don't see that happening. We don't know. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's not a definite. Again, it pushes things in that direction. Things get a little warm, a little heated, but it doesn't, like you said, doesn't necessarily push it in that direction to where we must get into conflict. Right. It's so wild that WWE may have hand in what could end up becoming a very, very big conflict.
It could. Now, so let me ask you, playing out, should WWE cancel this or should they stay the course? With the information that's out now, nothing more, just what's here now.
No, anything else happening, announcing anything? I would go through with the event, but I don't think they can make. I don't know what they would do trying to make another date. I also like you said with Linda being in with the cabinet. I have kind of an inkling that maybe it's. Can you wait until after like November 3rd to announce? Like maybe right after November 3rd.
I don't think that if they go right now, If they go on November 3rd, even if nothing else happens, if no more escalation, if no denouncing, none of that happens, and they go, they're in trouble.
Yeah, they're going to catch shit.
The court of public opinion is going to eat them alive, and it doesn't matter how eloquently Triple H talks. It just doesn't.
Yeah. They're going to get in some trouble. They're going to get in some shit, but I don't see how they even, let's say they get through it, they go and do it. I don't see how they book another one over there until all this shit gets hashed out.
Yeah.
Things go way different before they go back.
I'm hoping the sensibility of the Crown Prince is what a lot of people say it is, because if that's the case, then there should be very easy to postpone this to next year. Very, very simple to do that. You know, it's not a big deal. And hell, WWE could even spin this in a way where you move everything that they've been building to Survivor Series. Then maybe Saudi Arabia gets a Triple H versus Undertaker match, singles match. Maybe they get something like that. Maybe they get Triple H versus, Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles. Maybe they get something of that nature. They could bait and switch this. Yeah, they would have to. It would be interesting.
I don't think that it's happening anytime soon.
No.
For this, but you said postponing it until next year. That's probably the best.
Probably the best way.
They have a lot of dates cooked into the year for this.
Do.
This is going to be a problem.
It is.
There's some deep shit.
Failure says, just bring back Muhammad Hassan at Crown Jewel and do a run-in on take. That'll solve everything. Yes, let's do another beheading angle.
The fucking Davari brothers are getting death threats. I don't know if
You're right, yeah. And Muhammad Hassan's fucking Italian. So.
Yeah, he's Italian. That's going to be a long segment if they try to do this.
That would be so fucking funny. They wouldn't even let Sami Zayn go into the country or show up on television. They ain't letting Muhammad Hassan.
That's another big deal. You got a guy who's probably, while this deal's going on, essentially held down on the card, and there's nothing he can really do about it because they aren't really allowed to market him to one of their big benefactors at the moment.
And Anthony Castillo, just because the presidents have cozied up to the Saudis doesn't mean that we're not one fucking situation like this away. Tensions are always high with the Middle East in general. All right, that's just how it is with the fucking region. While we're not always in tension with Saudi Arabia, fucking per se, doesn't mean that situations like this can't dictate change and serious ramifications. That's all. So don't fucking read into any goddamn one specific thing that's being said. Calm the fuck down, you goddamn mark. Jesus Christ. Good Lord.
Everybody's kind of... Everybody in this situation is kind of grabbing onto one thing. You have the people who are grabbing onto the women's thing. You have the people who grab onto the abduction thing. You have people who are grabbing onto, our government's cozy with them and WWE's cozy with
and they are. Yeah, they are cozy. Look, for years, the administrations have been cozy. Yes, that is 100% true. But there's always tensions. And believe me, if Saudi Arabia has not continued to show over the years that there are some progressions that have been made, and there has, maybe not as much as some would like to fucking see, not as much as some other places in the region, still, if they would not have been showing that, trust me, some of those coziness definitely would not be happening. And don't fucking think for a second that this isn't about money, because it absolutely is. We're talking about a very, very, very rich nation. Incredibly, incredibly rich nation.
Yeah. They paid how much was it, like $10 million for this?
The $500 million reportedly.
$500 million.
$500 million for a goddamn carnival, essentially for a circus. It's unbelievable.
That was all for the whole deal. But I mean, I was just talking about like per show it was something like $10 million. But you might be right.
Probably it'll probably break down. Yeah, I think it was 409. But nobody knows the exact specifics of this. And the reality is, with the ability to put it on the network and publicize it, and put it on DVD or whatever else they're selling it, there's more money in it than just that. Merchandise sales, all kinds of stuff,
Think of all the merch they sold. God, they're doing good. They really like this deal. If they lose this deal, they're losing a lot of money and starting a bit of shit. So yeah, they probably are just please wait. Go ahead and do the sanction thing, and then our hands are tied here. We can't help. Please, everybody's waiting on someone else to pull the trigger for this thing to happen. I don't think it's gonna come out very clean at all. For real, I think this is gonna be pretty fucking messy by the end of it. But it's already getting messy, and it's just starting.
Yeah, everybody's starting to speak out on it. JR was really he was kind of in the like he said nothing. Like he actually said nothing. He's like he only spoke about the woman's situation. Like it got brought up, this entire situation with the journalists and stuff and what's actually happening at the moment. And JR was just like, well, I think what they're doing with the women is, he just completely smart job by good old JR.
I don't know. I don't hate. I don't hate the middle of the road thing. I don't hate the people who
in this situation. I don't either.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the people speaking. I'm not mad at the people on the middle of the road thing.
Yeah, not when all the information's not out there. Failure asks, Dave, what do you think of the vast floor space and front row setup at the last Saudi pay-per-view? It really is rich kid's dream. It's exactly what it is. I don't know if you guys saw that shit. The entire ringside was covered in fucking pillows, and the entire royal family was out there. They were laid out like it was the Queen of fucking Siam. I'm surprised there wasn't midgets feeding them grapes. It was unbelievable.
It looked kind of like that.
It was unbelievable.
That was something I not really thought about too much, and Failure pointed it out to me too, like a week or two ago. It looked like a sleepover.
It was
like just a hedonistic sleepover. You just like laid out. Here comes it. I bet there were people bringing them some kind of food.
Oh God, yeah.
On the regular.
Oh,
like,
on trays, on golden trays. I'm 100% sure of it. And like Failure just said, if I had Saudi money, I'd book a WWE pay-per-view in my living room. Yeah, there's no difference than a rich fucking Jewish person hiring David Bowie back in the day for a bat mitzvah or a bar mitzvah. Yeah. There's no difference. This shit happens. People hire Mariah Carey and Rihanna for all kinds of public or private events. It's no different. No difference.
It's the same deal. You'll hear about the Rolling Stones performing at a bar mitzvah sometimes. It's like, yeah. But yeah, this is the same deal.
It's fucking fun. It is. Now it's a grander scale. It's a bigger scale, and it's a hell of a lot more money. But Jesus,
it was apparently enough money to pull WWE from being kind of in the tank for a bit to where now it's like, oh, okay, now they're a really rich company again.
Yeah, so they're incredibly rich too right now. Jesus, man.
Yeah, they were in a kind of a.
Oh, they were in a tailspin.
Yeah, for like two or 3 years, really bad, things turned around right at this.
Yeah, after the network came out, the fucking stock went skyrocketing for a while, and then a lot of people started selling off their stocks, which they almost got in trouble for insider trading. Because they sold off a whole bunch of people. Vince, Stephanie, Linda, a whole bunch of people sold off a fuck ton of stocks right before a huge crash in the market and in the stock in particular. And they almost got in trouble for that because the timing of it was like uncanny. Apparently it amounted to nothing. But still, now we're talking about a stock that is trading at $100 a fucking share. That's a lot more money than $500 million for a 10-year deal. They got to be thinking about this long term, right?
This plan has to be, if anything, long term. That was kind of the whole thing, and this all happening really fucked all that up.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah, this was a very long-term plan. It was, like you said, like $500 million.
Yeah, they're saying anywhere between $490, and some people said it was more than that. Some people said that they threw $1 billion at WWE. That was some of the reports early on.
Well, it's 10 years worth of shows. This is a decades-long deal.
Right. They set up a performance center there. They're training the next generation of Saudi Arabian athletes, sports entertainers. They've put a lot of resources into this.
Okay, how much do you think that the plan here... Now, for real, maybe I'm wrong, but just... This is what I feel the plan was. Saudi Arabian Performance Center, big shows with big names. Eventually, those Saudi Arabian Performance Center guys, in about 4 or 5 years, do a couple angles over there with Triple H. Eventually, the Triple H's, the H's, our guys will go put their guys over, and they would eventually have their own WWE over there.
Yeah. Just like we're getting
they needed.
Just like we're getting with NXT UK. The 100%. They want to expand. They want to go in all these markets and get as many footholds as they can, because that's the future of the WWE. It's international. They've dominated in the United States. There's no question about that. Their legacy is cemented. Regardless of anybody's bitching about the products, it doesn't matter. They're still drawing anywhere between 10 and 20,000 fucking people for Monday Night Raw at these goddamn shows. They're good, you know?
Yeah, they only needed a few years to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that was the plan. It's like, eventually, it's not even going to be our guys over there. We're going to use our guys to put their guys over. We'll have this set up over a 10-year period. There will be a WWE Saudi Arabia thing, just like you said with the NXT UK thing. The Saudis would have their own stars who had beaten some WWE stars. They can, you know, just like they did with the Great Khali in India.
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
Jinder Mahal, who's not even actually fucking Indian. Yeah, he's Canadian. They put the title on him. It's crazy.
It's all they needed to do, though, man. All they needed were a few years.
Yeah.
For this to happen, and if this would have happened a few years down the road, it'd be, oh well, that's a whole other branch of business. Most people would have written it off.
Right, but because it's so early in the relationship,
and they're still making it happen.
Yeah.
They haven't got the performance center exactly off the ground yet.
No.
They have a few guys coming in. They don't have a Saudi Arabian WWE branch yet. They're building it. They're screwed.
You know, I also find it interesting that we live in this era now where everybody, even in WWE, have gotten off the leash a little bit on social media, and a lot of people talk about whatever they want to do. Sasha Banks is famous for a lot of her bitching on social media that she does. You know, we see what the New Day and, most importantly, Xavier Woods does with his social media. He's created an over 1 million sub channel on YouTube using his WWE handle to work in conjunction with it. Nobody on social media that I've seen, no current WWE performers are tweeting about this. None of them. And some are more obvious for reasons than others. You have a former gold medal Olympian in Kurt Angle who will be at that show. You have a sitting governor going to that show. This is so messy.
Oh, you mean mayor. You're talking about Kane, right?
Oh, yeah, mayor. What did I say?
Okay.
Governor? Excuse me. Yeah, mayor.
Still.
Mayor of Knox
Still,
County,
That's a guy. He is a Republican mayor of Knox County. Oh, God.
Governor, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're gonna drag Jesse Ventura out there.
But no, that would be wild. But no, I wasn't necessarily on that. I'm still with your point. That's important.
Yeah.
You have a sitting U.S. official
right.
who could go. Think of it. What if they kidnapped Kane?
Oh my God!
What if they Kane-napped him?
Oh.
They now have a sitting U.S. official in a situation because goofy wrestling show. And now that would be something Vince would have to be. Oh, it's a nightmare.
It really is, and
it's a fucking nightmare.
It makes you wonder if it was worth it in the first place. You know, expanding in certain places makes a lot of sense, but going into markets that are untapped, it's always a risk. But is this one worth it, especially after the successful expansion they've had in India? Do they really need to go into Saudi Arabia other than this quick fucking money? Well, I wouldn't say 10 years quick, but you know what I mean.
It's a great buck. It's a quick buck to make, and it's a great deal of money to be making. It's a quick way to make the money. Sign the deal, do the carnival tour. Yeah. You know, we were talking about how it's essentially glorified house. It's like a Masters League that's happening in the main event. Yeah. They can fill it up with some undercard of some title matches, build up some stuff if they want to, or they can do like the Greatest Royal Rumble. Quick battle royal. Wrestlers love, or they hate doing battle royals because it's a clusterfuck, but they like them because quick payday, 4 moves thrown over the top rope by them.
Right. Yeah.
So,
except for Daniel Bryan, who did like an hour and 20 minutes and got his fucking chest turned into hamburger meat. Did you remember that shit at the Greatest Royal Rumble?
That poor bastard.
You got to go watch that, man. His chest.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he got who was it? It was Roderick Strong who lit his ass up.
Yeah,
Roderick Strong.
Bobby Lashley and Big Cass. They did that giant suplex that almost killed Cass, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Titus O'Neil flew under the ring. I mean, there were plenty of great moments that came from this shit.
That's right.
So I can't say that I wish we wouldn't have done this. It wasn't worth. They've got great footage from. A bunch of things happened because of it. And from what I saw, like those brothers, they were decent. That they got because of this. They're good. Some good things came of it.
Sure.
But a worthwhile.
But it takes
we'll
one
have to talk
situation
next
like
year.
this. One situation like this just turns it all on its head. You want to take some calls with me?
Sure.
All right, yeah, stick around. We're going to take some calls. Let's go with Everyone Lies. He's been in there for a while. What do you got? You're live with Tonka and Dead on Dave.
Yeah, I want to talk about the one situation, the Greatest Royal Rumble, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I linked an article, but you probably haven't had a chance to pull it up or anything. We're talking about great journalism and on-spot reporting. The Daily Beast did an article about this, and they're kind of talking about the Davari situation from before. Yeah. The only problem is, and I don't know how hard I should be on them for this, because I thought this for a long time too, until like this is coming up and I'm researching this. Most of the threats that Davari got were not from Saudis; they were from Iranians.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that's
We're
true.
mad because you made our country
I
look
believe
bad.
that.
So.
Yeah,
But they're still
overall, the
reporting
Saudis didn't seem to really care about it. It just got wrestling heat. You got to remember, the people who were in attendance, they were there. They knew what they were going to. It's not like they don't know what wrestling is. They do. And they understood that it was a storyline. But, yeah, Iran they didn't like that shit.
Yeah, and they're still pushing that. That was a more recent article, but they're still like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that still think that that's the case.
Yeah.
But it's not, and there's a lot of people that are going to be pressured, like, oh yeah, they got death threats last time they came there, and that's something that's going to have to be dispelled. But
Yeah, well, they get death threats for a lot of different reasons. I don't think that they worry too much about that for the most part. Shit. I'm sure Tonka could tell you a lot of situations that's happened in the past. I mean, look at Bruiser Brody. You know, all of the backlash that happened from that fucking situation. There are still people talking about things, that entire particular.
They don't really help by running storylines centered around it a year or two ago either.
That's true. No, not a smart thing to do.
And they didn't help the case. Is the Greatest Royal Rumble going to be an annual event? Or it's supposed to be?
I hope not, because I don't want. For one, it's so close to the other Royal Rumble. I hope it's not. I'm hoping it's just a one-off, and they'll do different one-off. I'm hoping they bring something like the King of the Ring, which they kind of are with this World Cup thing. You know, obviously not a new concept. TNA has done the World Cup. There's New Japan, I believe, has done World Cup type events in the past as well.
I wondered if they had a problem calling it the King of the Ring, since, you know.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that would be like.
Yeah.
You can't be having another king up in here.
Right, we're gonna have to behead him. Excuse me. Jerry Lawler couldn't. Did Jerry Lawler wear his crown? Because he went, right?
Ooh.
I don't know. I can't
I didn't
remember.
think
Did he?
about that. That could be a fucking thing.
All hail King
really
Booker!
Oh, I don't think King Booker would be making an appearance.
Oh my! It would be like holy shit! It would be like Robin Hood Men in Tights. A black sheriff? It would be amazing. It would be fucking incredible. Oh my god! It would be insanely.
I was gonna ask. You had said that it was Iranians who had actually been making death threats. I mean, again, it's probably never going to be corrected. You know how the record goes. Once the narrative is out, the narrative is out. But at the same time, I mean, still, if you have people who are threatening death, it doesn't matter if they're from Brooklyn or if they're from the Bronx, you know. It doesn't matter if they're from Harlem, doesn't matter if they're from LA, doesn't matter if they're from Iowa, doesn't matter if they're from Washington State.
Yeah.
You know, they still get death threats over a wrestling show.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the worst part.
Yeah.
You know, they used to say Canada was Bizarro Land, but they ain't got nothing on the Middle East.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, the Middle East definitely Bizarro Land. We were talking earlier, and there were spots you talked about the Kuwait show. You know, some ladies make it to the Kuwait show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe within a few years, it could have got there. You would have seen a demand to see Ronda Rousey. Rousey could have. Oh. That's the thing with Ronda, is that she could bridge that kind of gap because she is that big of a star that transcends over.
Yeah.
More than probably the other girls.
Easily, and there's no way that we can't say that in 2-3 years or even months, the Prince gets a bug up his ass for Ronda. Yeah,
he says, I want to see that. I want women wrestlers treated like queens, and in a weird way, you could end up seeing pro wrestling / Ronda Rousey end up helping women's rights around the world. That would be so weird.
That's
because
best
I'm not
case.
big on Ronda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazingly best case. That could have happened. I think that's what was being talked up.
Oh, I'm sure there has to be the optimism internally. That has to be what they're sitting
Oh.
around going, we're going to change the world, damn it. You know,
Like, that was the thing with-
Change the world.
a lot of the people complaining about the feminism thing in Saudi Arabia, but they're moving in a different direction, and it's kind of a good thing to say, like, okay, if you guys are gonna spend a little bit, you know, we'll throw this WWE event here
Right.
since you guys are like,
Yeah. Wasn't it?
it's
This is
goodwill.
Yeah. I don't know how soon after women being allowed to drive this happened.
It was during. It was right. They announced it. They talked about it during the event. It was like literally 2 weeks before the Greatest Royal Rumble. They got the right to drive, and they showed vignettes of women driving for the first time during Greatest Royal Rumble.
See, that's pretty fucking wild.
Pretty great.
I'm not trying to say I think that this is exactly what's going to happen. This is exactly how everything will play out. That's not what I'm saying. But, God, you got to give it a try. You got to give it a go. It's not easy. It's not, there you go. Progress, Phil Monty said, progress, this is not progress. I don't agree. You could think so. But
Well,
how do you do it? How do you do the progress? If
You can't change that overnight.
Tobes, I like Tobes is from he is from the Middle East. I know you know Tobes. I don't need to explain that to you, but I understand where he's coming from as well. Where he sees it as basically a PR move, you know, to be able to continue to do the things that they do and hold people down the way that they do. They give a little bit, but not really, because as far as I understand it, and Tobes has kind of explained this to me a little bit in the past, that it's within limitations anyway, you know. So the fact is, to go to that show, and this is damning, all right, to go to that show, women had to be escorted by a brother, a male, a father, or a husband. There are still some issues with that.
Oh, yeah, that definitely. But how do you move them?
Exactly.
How do you do it?
You can't do it if you're not in the region, and that's why I thought what Triple H said was so perfectly put.
Yeah, he made a good move with that. That was the best possible thing I think he could have said. And again, ideally, that's how it works. I don't know if we live in an ideal world. I don't think that shit happens.
You know we don't. You know we don't live in an ideal world. Yeah, we not even close to it. We live in reality where everything is messy and convoluted and contrived, and there's a million different parts that we can't see. That's just part of it. We do the best we can with the information that is available at the time, and we do what we think is right. Or we're motivated by money and other factors, and we try to suppress some of our morals. Not saying it's right, but it is humanity.
It's what we do.
It is what we do.
It is
I'm curious. I'm curious Tobes' thoughts on that, though.
We've talked about it before. Tobes has been on here. I think we have talked about it on. If he wants to jump in, Tobes knows he always can.
I see where he's coming from, but just if they made that drastic of a change overnight, a lot of people wouldn't really take it too well.
Yeah.
And that's there'd be some
slow.
uprising.
You mean the slow kind of moving slope, a gradual change kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a marathon.
That's where
not a
most
sprint.
people think they would be. Yeah,
Like I'd like them to have the same freedoms that I have. You know, it'd be great. But I mean, it's just doing that overnight. You're gonna have some uproar.
It's not our culture. You know, it's not our culture. It's not our country. It's not our religion.
I think that's another thing that Triple H in his statement was saying: the fruits of freedom being shown to people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It does work.
Right.
To a degree. Again, like I agree with Tobes as well. It's like, well, yeah, they only let them do this. But it's a slow change, man.
Yeah.
I know it is his country. He understands it a lot more.
And to me, this is minor. Like that's minor compared to what's happening now. This kidnap, torture, and murder thing, to me, is far more prevalent than that. Not putting it on the back burner or anything, but this is far more of a troublesome spot for WWE than that was. I think they navigated the waters pretty well during that first situation, but this is different. This is why they're not saying anything, and it's probably the best.
All bets are off there.
Hold on. Before we start the next part, just so that we can kind of get a feel for where the chat's at. Chat, if you would cancel the show, throw a 1. If you would not cancel the show, throw it to, just so we see where the chat's at. And yeah, keep going real quick. Everyone.
I like
I just
that.
want to see where they're at on it.
All right, everyone, Les, I appreciate the call. I want to get to these other guys too, okay?
All right, thanks.
Have a good one, buddy. Good call. Let's bring in the thickest. Don't be an ass. What do you got? You're live with Tonka on Dead on Dave.
Don't be an ass.
Yes,
How
I feel like
wonderful.
you've earned that. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Fair. All right, what do you got for us, thickest?
No, I was gonna comment on how that listening to you makes me more interested in WWE because I haven't had much to do with it.
Oh, wow.
It's just, and so where should I start? And also, I found out my school regularly hosts WWE.
Oh, well, that's an okay. This is always an interesting question, right? Because where do you start? For me, I started with the old stuff. You know, I was sitting on a couch and watching Crockett Cup over and over. I don't know if that is necessarily going to be the right way for you, and I'm sure Tonka might have a completely different answer, but I would start mid-90s, 94, start with WCW, and go from that point forward. Start watching 94 WCW. You could skip a lot of the stuff in WWE in 94, but start merging into WWE times around late 95, early 96, and just go right from there. Go on the network and just watch all that type of stuff. Tonka, where would you suggest a noob to the wrestling world begin?
It's what you just. I'm not against that method of doing it either. But the way that you tend to get into things, this is how I tend to suggest people get into MMA as well, because it's kind of hard for people to get into MMA when they first start. But it's a younger sport. The thing with wrestling, if you're planning, do you plan to kind of watch it on a weekly basis, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. If that's the route you're gonna go, is there anybody on there that you've seen that you really like?
I've only seen clips so far, but that's because I only got into it because I've been listening to Dead on Day.
Ah, man, that is the best compliment I think I get, is when people say
That's a
stuff
nice
like
compliment.
that. It's a very nice compliment. Thank you.
Do you like
Yeah.
the high flying stuff, or you more of you like CMP? What is the stuff you like in there?
More of like the hard stuff. I like the showy / actual big action, not really the smaller stuff.
205 Live.
Yeah.
That might,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, they're smaller guys, but I mean, nonstop action. 205 Live might be a good place to go. Tonka.
Yeah, that's not a terrible place to go to watch it on a weekly thing. But if you're wanting to start kind of branch out, start looking back at some guys' stuff and branch through their stuff, go watch. Just tag yourself on the careers of AJ Styles. Just kind of start watching his stuff, and you'll start to notice him going against some people.
Oh, okay.
That guy's cool, and then you'll branch out to that guy. Samoa
Yeah.
Joe and AJ Styles, great examples. You may even find yourself going back into old TNA, some old ROH, and you're going to find some really familiar faces of the guys who are on the show now,
Yeah.
the Roderick Strongs, the Kevin Steens. You're going to see you'll start to kind of get a better feel for those. You'll branch. The more you watch the guy that you got, okay, I like his style, I like what he does. You'll see his matches with other guys, and you'll start to like what they do, and then you'll just go down that path, and then go down the next path. Every time you see a guy, you'll start to kind of go down that, and you'll start to get kind of a collection of who you know and what you like, and then you'll know more what you enjoy. You'll watch it on a weekly basis. You'll start to see those familiar faces pop up, and you get into the wrestlers, and you kind of start to follow their careers that way. You get an investment, you'll enjoy it more.
I also think that's a good idea, but I think another idea too would be to kind of ignore everything that's happened in the past as well. It might hurt you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like just jump into what's current at the moment and then backtrack from there, because you'll see a lot of the people that are going now that are towards the end of their careers, the John Cena's, the AJ Styles, the Samoa Joe's, guys who have been around for a long time. And you'll naturally be seeing things from the past and vignettes that'll bring you back to those type of things that Tonka was saying. But going right into what's happening now, WWE is a versatile product. You got NXT. You have what's about to be launched with UK NXT, which is going to be a completely different entity all on its own. That's going to be a lot of
something
fun.
at a launch, that's always
Fun. The Mae Young Classic, if you like women wrestling at all, that is a lot of fun. What's happening right now, there's a women's tournament with just some of the best, not just women's wrestlers in the world, Io Shirai is one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet today, and she is in this tournament. I highly recommend checking that out. There's just so much. Get the network, free trial. You don't have to watch this WWE. 30 days.
Yeah, they give you a full month when you go for that network thing. It's only $10 every month, and they give you a full month to try it out. And there's a lot of shit on there.
Oh God, there's AWA stuff on there. I think they ended up getting some of those library.
They have an almost 50 a fucking library that goes back almost 50 years of wrestling from almost every promotion you can think of, and the weekly product and things that run on a live schedule. Yep. Where you'll just hear wrestlers talk about things and explain things as they were happening, just things from the history, things that happened last week.
Podcasts, holy shit, the podcast right now.
Yeah, Bruce Pritchard and Conrad are one of my favorites still.
Fantastic.
Still loving it.
Fantastic.
And apparently Conrad just got married. So.
Oh, really? Congratulations to Conrad Thompson. Shit.
Good dude.
Good shit.
Yeah.
All right, Dick, is there anything else
for the
us,
advice.
No problem, man.
Yeah, because it's a big thing at my school because they have show production here as a major, and they host WWE as a kind of like practice for the real world.
Hey, very good way to get involved right there.
That's some good on-job stuff.
Hell yeah. That's good stuff, man. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Yeah. See ya.
Take it easy.
All right, let's bring in GunCannon. I'm going to end with Tobes. GunCannon, you're live with Dead on Dave and Tonka. What you got?
He said that he went to a school that is he going to Full Sail?
It's possible he's gone now, but that was part of it.
That's actually because as soon as he started saying, he's like, yeah, they have a full production. I'm like, is he going to Full Sail?
He might. Damn. Maybe he does go to Full Sail. Maybe he is going right where NXT is thickest. If you're still in the chat, answer that. Are you in Florida? Are you going to Full Sail University? Is that what's happening? Because if so, yeah, you've got the best seat in the house, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. But I came into the show on the Meltzer bashing, which was fun. I always enjoy that. He just came in the chat and said yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, he goes full set.
Oh, dude, you are set up, buddy.
Yeah. Get in.
Yeah.
How long have you been going there? If he's been there for 2 or 3 years, he could have been seeing Nakamura, fucking Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
He's probably seen guys that most people would kill to see, and he didn't even know what was up. That's awesome.
He's been able to see Io Shirai down there. Just so many people. Oh my God, that's
Dusty.
incredible.
I wonder if Dusty was down there when he was there.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Oh, he's only been down there 1 month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still.
Okay.
That's
damn.
Dude, get in. Kevin Dunn won't live forever, brother.
That's right. That's very true.
Hey, if Kevin Dunn isn't around, I know 2 guys that could totally help run shows down there after last night. Jesus Christ.
That's right. You went to an event last night up in your neck of the woods, and it was run by
Dean Malenko and Devon Dudley.
Not a bad mix-up, right? That's pretty. I kind of like that, right?
That was a really good mix-up, and the show was all right. It was a lot of 3-man and tag. Like if there was a singles match, it was not anybody really all that important except for Balor. Yeah. But yeah, it was actually a really good show, and like afterwards, because my wife and I were about like 25 feet from where the tech is, so I got to watch that whole tech end of it. It was fucking amazing.
That's cool.
Their board is massive.
Oh yeah, it's still really good though, and unfortunately, my wife got the fantasy suspended because how they have their entrance set up, you can actually see where they walk off, and they just kill how they're acting.
You can see in a gorilla and shit. Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
What are they doing? Put the curtain up. Put the curtain up.
No, there were curtains down the side. The problem is if you walked up like maybe a section, you could see back behind the curtains, and it suspends it even more.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I like that.
They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It was a house show, though. It was a house show.
Yeah, it was the house show, but still, it was pretty good for what it was.
Yeah, house shows are fun.
House shows are great.
Bad about that.
Man, you know what pisses me off? I'm going up to Massachusetts next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, and right in Hartford there's Ronda Rousey's defending, Roman Reigns is defending, AJ Styles is defending, like everybody's defending. And I can't go because I already made a commitment. I'm going to Massachusetts, and because I'm a veteran, because I'm a retiree, I get a free ticket.
Yep.
I
get a free
really?
Yeah. They still give free tickets to retirees and active duty members.
See,
oh yeah.
Good guy WWE kind of idiot.
At times.
Yeah, sometimes they're all right guys.
They get it done. Okay.
What was your take on the whole Saudi Arabia situation? You talking about hitting the X on the show? Or would you check mark it until you get word from the president?
Yeah.
I honestly, at this point, I think that they should suspend it.
Yeah.
They should
suspend it, so postpone.
They should suspend it and tell them, look, once this whole thing is cleared up, postpone. Until this is in danger there, but too. I would say suspend it. The problem is that they're still pushing these storylines.
That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal.
Yeah. You mentioned, pushing it off to Survivor Series, and that's definitely a good idea. You did talk about the whole England thing right around the time that's going on. They're actually over there.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So I mean, does that say, hey, move Crown Jewel? No, I say don't move Crown Jewel. Let them have that. If you need to keep these storylines fresh or keep them going to kind of move your whatever plots along, just put something there in its place.
See, I feel if they were to do something of that nature and they give away the storylines that were specifically for Crown Jewel and they give it to another nation, it's insulting. If you put it on your own pay-per-view, that's not that big of a deal. That's a situation of circumstance. But if you put it to another nation, especially because you can use the same moniker if they wanted to, Crown Jewel or whatever, I think that muddles it a little bit more than they probably are comfortable with.
Yeah, that was my concern with it, looking at it and seeing the multitude of reports saying that they were looking at England. Yeah. I would not let them have Crown Jewel. No. I mean, I thought at first, hey, that makes sense to move it there, but after kind of, muddling it over, it doesn't.
Doesn't work.
Because it'll piss them off, and then nobody's happy in that. Then I guess I could see where that would be a problem.
Yeah. Gunny, your connection is AIDS, man.
I think they should now let's read it.
Gunny, your connection is cancer. Yeah, it's totally cancer.
I'll leave it at that.
All right.
I honestly.
Yeah, total cancer.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, you're good, buddy.
Being tased.
Stephen Hawking took over there for a second, ladies and gentlemen. That was good times. All right, let's end the show with a little bit of perspective and have a little bit of fun. Oh, well, probably not fun. Let's bring in Tobes, man. Film Oddities is here joining us to add some perspective that we haven't really brought into it yet. A guy who actually, understands us on a different level.
He is there.
Well, not exactly there, but close enough.
Yeah. He's more into that kind of stuff that's over there.
Tobes, what do you got for us?
I'm from the region, not from Saudi Arabia, thankfully.
Yes, that's saying something. You're saying thankfully.
Yeah, I canceled the fucking event. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just cancel the event. Now,
you were not really a big advocate of them going over there in the first place.
No, absolutely not. I think it's just for optics, and it validates what they're doing. Then what they're doing is just half-assed freedom for the sake of optics.
Right.
That's about it.
But could it have a positive repercussion, though? I mean, it's
absolutely not.
You don't think at all?
Not in Saudi Arabia. Not in a fundamentalist country like that.
Wow. So you don't see anything with some of the progression that the Crown Prince has proposed with like allowing women to drive. You don't see that as any type of forward motion?
Optics.
It's only optics.
Only optics.
And you're basing that off of?
Well, I live in the region.
I understand that, but I mean, like, I understand that, but I mean, it's still perspective. I'm just trying to get a little bit more of.
It's half-assed, Dave. Just because a woman can drive doesn't mean everything is,
Well, nobody's saying that everything's okay, though. They're saying it's a step, but you don't even see it as a step.
Oh, no, I barely see it as a step.
Okay.
Like, welcome to the fucking modern world, dude. But as well, you still have to have a guardian. They
Right.
still can't travel. It's still segregated. It's still like, just don't go. Just don't go. Yeah, your best bet, do it in the UAE, in Dubai,
Right.
in Abu Dhabi, somewhere like that.
Which they've done.
Well, yeah, they've done before, yeah. And they should do that again instead of going to Saudi Arabia.
They go to Dubai. They go to all those places quite frequently. They go up into Qatar. They go to a lot of different places of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would vote against doing a show back home if I was a wrestler or if I was Vince McMahon. But like in anywhere in the Middle East at this point.
Right.
At the moment, the absolute state of just social politics and foreign affairs and whatever, you don't want to validate what they're doing, and then they could use what you gave them as optics.
I can't really even argue with it. I mean, like, you make a valid point there, and it does make sense. It's just PR. I could see that, but from the WWE standpoint, not only getting paid, but maybe there are people within the company that actually do believe what they're doing is going to, facilitate some sort of change. If they're able to get women performing in front of the audience there, is that something that is worthwhile trying to work towards?
If they can get women?
Yeah, which they're saying that it could happen in the next few years.
In the next few years. Give it another 20 years and then I'd say.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah.
Tonka, what do you think about that?
I was all right on that. That's how do you move it then?
Right.
How do you influence?
Dude, you can't. I'm sorry. It's just the state. It's the state of things in the Middle East. Can't influence anything.
Wow.
Okay, hold on. I'm about to have a sneeze and pick. Give me 1 second.
Capture it. We got to do GIF. A GIF. Zangief. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I can't really even argue against it because, I mean, you live there. You know it better than I possibly could.
Mm-hmm. Give it 20 more years. Just see where it goes and then venture into
But even in
like
20 years from now, if the WWE has been in that region for that long, I mean, it's kind of a win-win for both people, right? I mean, for both entities. WWE can point to, we've been in this region for 20 years, and we can point to this, this, and this, and it's directly because of our influence in that region. Isn't that something to kind of, from a PR standpoint on their end, to a worthwhile endeavor if it actually works out?
Again, that's a big if.
That's all life is, though, man. There is no definitives. Life is ifs.
Exactly. There's no definitives, but I can tell you definitively that it not only is it going to be difficult, it's going to be next to impossible to change how fundamental the region is.
Wow.
But a couple of years ago, would that have been what most would have said about women driving?
No. It's like
you see the women driving thing as a complete red herring.
Yeah. It's absolutely nothing. Hey, you can drive a car, but guess what? You have to have a male passenger that's a brother or a relative of yours.
He's not wrong.
A father, or a guardian.
Not false. What?
I'm not saying it's not murky. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of issues to it, but is it not? If not even a step forward, is it a scoot forward?
Right.
Is there anything forward? Come on, there's something.
Honestly, it's just optics. It just looks good. There's no freedom. Hooray! I can like fucking step on a pedal and like steer a steering wheel.
But it is more than they were able to do just a year ago. I mean, it is. I understand that, but I mean,
anything.
A journey of 1,000 miles. I mean, I can use all of these platitudes and these type of sayings. And for me, it works. But again, that's not my culture. It's not my religion. It's not my nation. And nor is it WWE's. So if their minds, and they could show, and they could point to these type of things that are happening because of their involvement and still make money at the same time, isn't that a win-win in some regards?
No.
Wow.
I genuinely don't see it as a win-win. It's bad optics for
you think it's validation of a totalitarian government, basically? I mean,
yeah. That's it. It's a validation of a totalitarian government, more than it's already validated by the U.S. Now, having a company, a big juggernaut of entertainment, perform there, that's something that gives it more credibility with people.
But, you know, to go to what we were saying earlier, though, I mean, we are friendly with the Saudis. I mean, Trump is clearly friendly with the Saudis. So, I mean, does that kind of opens up that doorway to allow this stuff to happen, though, doesn't it?
It does. It doesn't change the fact that it's disgusting.
That's fair. Tonka?
No, I definitely get that.
I can't sit here and yell at Tobes and tell him he's wrong. You know, it's just like
he's definitely right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Once they've entered into it,
right.
I get that it seems validation of a totalitarian.
But now they're there.
Well, even before that, I can also get where someone could think they could make a change.
Right.
People do that all the time.
That's naive.
It could be naive, but
that's naive. And the we can make a change is just like capitalist horseshit.
I don't know.
For the most part, yes. But people do it all the time.
Haven't you seen the end of Rocky IV? If you could change, and I could change, everybody could change. Come on, you got to believe in that, right? Come on.
Yeah, I do believe in that, but in the region I come from, that's next to impossible.
You're not wrong.
I believe you. It could be next to impossible, but somebody's got to start hammering at the rock. I don't know if this is the best hammering at the rock I've ever seen. I agree with you there.
Well, especially
this
not
is
now.
Probably not the best way to go.
Especially not.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, put aside the fucking the oppression of the people. They're killing journalists. They're doing war crimes and stuff like that. Like, it's really not a good time. Right. I have nothing against the Saudi people. I just the politics of the region and the society the rules of the society are backwards as fuck. And if you have a show like that, you're just gonna validate it.
Right.
It's awful.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But
there's elements. I see where it could be awful. I also see where there are people who think they could do something with. I get that part of it.
Yeah, and I do like it. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tonka.
Well, no, I was gonna say. He said earlier that he doesn't see any positive real change coming from them making the deal. Here's what's unfortunate. I can see a whole lot of negative change from them fucking on the deal.
Right, yeah. No, that
I can see a whole lot going negative.
And maybe that was enough of a deterrent that they shouldn't have done it in the first place. If anything, that really speaks to what Tobes is saying. Everything's juice versus squeeze,
that's
right?
That's where I was about to go with that. I wouldn't have entered into a deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't make a deal with the devil. That's the...
Yeah, well, it's not even just deal with the devil. I wouldn't enter into a deal with anybody.
Right.
If I thought, hey, if this goes wrong, it goes so goddamn wrong, people could end up getting killed or something.
Right.
I'm not entering in that deal.
Yeah, maybe not going in is the best way to go. I'll tell you though, regardless of what you believe of this Crown Prince, if he's not where he is and he hasn't shown at least some sort of, in some people's minds, a semblance of progression, WWE probably doesn't even go into this situation. And honestly, if Linda McMahon isn't part of Trump's cabinet, maybe they also don't get involved in the situation. There might be a little bit of double dealing in that situation. It's murky. It is murky as fuck. It really is.
Not wrong.
Not wrong.
No, it's there's a lot of shit that the different ties that different people have, the different ways that people are connected in this kind of thing. A lot of the quote unquote goodwill, a lot of the like Tobes is pointing out, there's a lot of virtue signaling to it, a lot of just kind of patting people on the back for something that's not really there.
Right.
There is a lot of all this shit going on.
Yeah.
Very true.
This really is the participation trophy.
In some, you're not. I can't even say again. I can't even say that you're wrong.
Yeah, that part's true.
I can't even say you're wrong.
That part's definitely true. It ends up being okay. You've decided to be a little more free visually to the world, so we will patch you with this.
And this is where being American probably is where our hindrance is, because we've built, what we've built, and we want to believe that those things can be built, even if some of what we built is bullshit. It doesn't matter. A house of bullshit still fucking stands up sometimes.
Not wrong.
So we want to believe that it's possible for us being Americans, and maybe this is where ego comes in as well, that we can facilitate change because of what we've been able to accomplish. Whether or not that's false or not is only time is going to tell.
Yeah, not just that, but you also you got to point out that thing where people want to sit there and kind of pat people on the head for doing the right thing because you come from that spot where doing the right thing is just so normal. And I don't know, I don't want to say like a weird kind of, you look at them as like below you to where they don't understand it. So when they do something correctly, it's like, oh, you did good there. Here, have a wrestling show.
Here, have a big fucking event. Yeah.
I think that comes. There's a lot of Americans who kind of have that aspect on it, and that's what I was talking about earlier with the people who are rallying. It's well, they did the car thing, so it's a placating thing. They've also, you got to understand that WWE also made this thing kind of a half-ass deal with the women. Look, you're getting the Women's Evolution pay-per-view right after this. Just come on, don't. Nobody make any of this hard on anybody. Everybody's like, okay, so the men are quiet about the women's pay-per-view. The women get their own pay-per-view while the men go and do the Saudi.
Right, everybody wins, right?
There's a whole lot of shaking hands going on here where everybody's like, it's okay, we'll all make it past it.
Right, yeah.
But you shouldn't have to get into a deal where you have to fuck around and make it past it.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good place to leave it. Final thoughts, gentlemen. We'll start with Tobes. We've been live for almost 2 hours. So, Tobes, final thoughts.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Cancel it.
Not at this time. Just don't do it.
Tonka?
Don't do it is decent advice, but now that they done did it, best of luck to you.
There you go. Well said.
Best of luck to you.
Tobes, tell all the kids where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter, Film Oddities. Get me to 500 fucking followers. Come on, guys.
Let's do that.
My YouTube channel, Film Oddities, probably in the channel section on Dave's shit.
Yep.
And I do SFTP and this show Wednesday, hopefully.
Yes, we should be good for Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, Tobes. Thank you, sweetie. Have a good night.
See ya.
Tonka, you do a little thing every day. What do you do?
I do Morning Kumite over on the Talk channel. We talk about whatever happens to be happening when it be happening, and sometimes we also just talk about whatever. It's every morning around 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. It's a show.
And it goes for 17 hours a day.
1 billion hours almost. Yeah. It usually starts then ends like right before Tommy's or like 20 minutes into Tommy's.
Yeah, something right.
It's 2 o'clock and we quit.
There you go. Make sure you guys are checking out the Morning Kumite. Tonka, thank you for coming on as always, my friend.
Yeah, damn good time, dude.
Have a good one, buddy. Thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the show today. We talked about a lot of stuff, a little bit more serious than we typically are here, but we can have some fun with it as well. I appreciate you guys for being here. No wig action today, but that's all right. I might go to Twitch later. I'm thinking about it. I want to play some more Assassin's Creed. Maybe just do an hour. I'm not in excruciating pain at the moment, but tomorrow we go back to the regular standard stuff. Twitch will be 11 to 2 tomorrow. Ryan from CrimsonStudios will not be available to do the show, so I might do a long one on Twitch. Maybe I'll come over here again. I don't really know. We'll see. The rest of the week will be as followed. Face should be on Tuesday. Tobes on Wednesday. Assburger should be Thursday, but who the fuck knows? And then I am done. Friday, I will be going to Massachusetts, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be heading out. Going to spend the weekend with my buddies that's over at Soul Crushing Radio. We're going to have a hell of a weekend. Not saying I'm going to do a 24-hour stream. I'm going to go as long as I can on Saturday. We're going to have an epic after party on Friday night. It's going to be great. It's going to be tits. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. All leading to a live in-studio edition of First and Punt, our weekly football show over on SC_radio on Twitch. Hopefully you guys are checking all of that out and a whole lot more. We appreciate you. We love your faces. We want more. We need you. We got to have that support. So make sure you guys are over there checking out everything that's going on. And you can find me over on Tommy's channel every Sunday, but not this upcoming Sunday because I'll still be fucked up from my travels on the weekend. And then after that, all bets are off. I got a very big appointment with the VA next Monday. And then I'll be heading to Chicago for Halloween. I'll also be seeing Jeff the Huff Huffman live and in person, and that's going to be a lot of fun meeting him and his family for the first time. So lots of good shit. And my final thoughts, WWE is fucked. Don't be Scrooge McDuck in this situation. You're going to have to make a definitive statement, but I do like how they've handled it for the most part, because I think you got to wait until more information is out until you are definitive, because you put yourself in the spot that you are. Hopefully that'll satiate everybody. Thank you for being here. Keep it copious, folks. And remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. Go give a little bit of love to everybody who supports on Patreon. We'll see you tomorrow on Twitch. Peace out.